Hey guys, welcome to week 10 here at MPAI 5600. Welcome to the last week before the election. I think we had a good topic this past week when we talked about Russia election interference and I hope you're thinking about how it applies to the current election. So just a couple of announcements. I'm going to be real quick. So obviously we had two topics, the Russian 2016 election interference. Just tell me where in the cycle do you think it occurred? And if you're going to say, hey, we should have known about election interference based on the Victoria Nuland intercept in Ukraine and attacks in Estonia and those types of issues, that's fine. But you have to draw that big strategic picture and draw it to actual things, getting two-factor authentication at the DNC, right? You have to square that peg somehow. How you get from those large strategic issues to actual mitigation circumstances that could have occurred. And again, some of you said, hey, those big strategic pictures. Others of you thought that it was the interagency issues, that the FBI and the DNC weren't talking to each other and weren't sharing information. Others talked about the political interface, that we had collected, analyzed, but politically, it was too difficult that part of the election season to communicate findings that the Russians are interfering in our election. And the Senate Majority Leader and the President couldn't talk about it, and that's why the failure occurred. Whatever your thoughts, your theories on, just again, you have to establish where you think it happened. And then I'll just say, bringing it to today, the election again is 2 days from now. I'm taping this on a Sunday. There has been some disinformation campaigns surrounding the election, but I have a strange feeling that the Russians or other countries are trying to keep their powder dry, knowing that the post-election phase, the time where there might be disputes in counting, or there might be issues with trying to rectify the electoral process, I think that's when we're going to start seeing a lot of disinformation and foreign actors stick their thumb on disinformation on the internet and in other avenues going forward. So that's just something to consider in the next couple of weeks, depending on, again, how this election goes, which on Sunday night, I don't know how it's going to go. So the second point was ransomware. I know the John Oliver video got a little raunchy. I apologize for that, but I think it was a humorous way of looking at the ransomware problem and why it kind of expounded. Just a couple of issues to bring up. Many of you thought about different recommendations for ransomware, about having a user behavior analytics or having a SOC, a security operations center. All great, all important, but not everyone's going to have the resources of Colonial Pipeline or of MGM or even like Inova hospitals here in Northern Virginia. These ransomware attacks are coming at rural schools, rural hospitals that don't have the budgets for these cyber products and these cybersecurity measures. So how do we reach them? How do we make it so they can be protected from ransomware going forward? And it's just, again, something for you to consider for this class as well as in your careers. And then something that I did not put in the reading, but recently there was an attack on a NICU. And a NICU is a ransomware attack on a NICU. And that is a neonatal intensive care unit, for those of you who don't know what that is. And if you've had kids in a NICU, it can be a very harrowing experience, especially if they're just born. And a hospital, I think in Ohio, was under a ransomware attack, and a baby died in a NICU because they weren't able to get the information. And that hospital now is under a lawsuit. And I think that's going to change the dynamics of ransomware considerably. Negligence because of lack of cybersecurity protection during a ransomware attack. And that hospital is being sued. And, we could talk about cyber attacks against the Colonial Pipeline or other critical infrastructure. But a baby dying in a NICU has intense jury appeal. That people, especially if you have kids, you can understand that. So that's going to change the dynamics considerably of the of the ransomware and the impacts on ransomware and the impact on liability and then how cyber audits are conducted. So just be aware of that going forward. So Module 10, Business Intelligence. I don't think we have anyone here in the Business Intelligence track. And I'm going to throw out a little bit of honesty here. I really want you to focus on paper 3, which is due a week from now on November 10th at 11:59. If you have questions on it, let me know. But the paper is in. The questions on the paper are in the module. You could also do your paper on Capitol Hill if you attended a couple of weeks back. So do enough on the business intelligence. Don't spend more than an hour on it. Go through some of the readings, get the high points of the readings, do the discussion, but focus mainly on paper 3 for this week going forward. And again, you'll see the dynamics or what I'm looking for in the paper, 1,500 words. You'll see the 4 topics. Expound on those topics in depth, or choose one of those topics and expound on it. And if there's questions, I'd be happy to talk to you this week. So if there's any questions or issues, let me know, and I will see you. Vote if you haven't voted already. And I will see you guys next week, and we can talk about the election and any issues going with that going forward when we have a better idea of it.